Hello, everyone. Now we will have our closing plenary to report the main conclusions of the breakout groups. I would like to invite Mr. Kensuke Fukushi, professor of the University of Tokyo, who was chairing the breakout group 1. Professor Fukushi, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. In the session 1, the title was Advancing the Solution for the Transition. We have 4 speakers speaking about one of their 5-year project output under biodiversity and ecosystem services. In addition, Professor Kazuhiko Takeuchi giving a comment or discussing as a discussant to provide this comment. And this 5 years project is based on the scenario study of the future of the biodiversity with a different scenario, which is giving a good future, bad future. However, the basic concept is zero net biodiversity loss. It's either in order to not really losing their biodiversity in the future. And one of the framework that the concept framework that they're providing, the Nature Future Framework, NF or NFF, providing their different scenario in the future. And another presentation was made about the scenario in case study in Japan, providing their several cases, including not only biodiversity but also their energy production, taking advantage of sunlight as one of the resources of nature. And lastly, one speaker, Dr. Herring, provided how the urban environment has been changing, especially in the river environment. River environment is their home of their aquatic as well as terrestrial biodiversity. However, in the developing country, it is it's being polluted as well as is being utilized as a political tool, and it is not governed properly. However, this is not going to be analyzed. This was analyzed in order to provide their better future scenario. And lastly, Professor Takeuchi mentioned about their multiple value of their ecosystem and ecosystem services and biodiversity. Not only from the viewpoint of the biological value, but also that is the human resource value of their including energy as well as their material of their terrestrial and non-terrestrial, which is aquatic bioresources. Not only just our goods, but other like space or energy, the wind or or geothermal or many other resources. So multiple value of the space is going to provide eventually in order to provide their secure and healthy management of the ecosystem. Honestly speaking, we got short of time and we have very small amount of time for the discussion. So we'd like to continue this kind of discussion after this conference and may have a chance to present our activity in the future in a more large arena. Hopefully the joint event is COP15 coming fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Fukushi. Now I want to invite Mrs. Lily Rodríguez from IUBS, who was chairing the breakout group 2. Mrs. Rodríguez, you have the floor.
Thank you. We discussed on the UNCCD convention and on the land degradation neutrality, which is a commitment made in 2015 by the countries in that convention with ambitious targets that are reaching 50% at the moment, although we don't know exactly the implementation so far, but at least the commitments have been made, and it's quite similar to the zero net loss, habitat loss. On actions on sustainable food production, as well as for the land degradation neutrality, it was clear that governance will be a key issue. and that there are several recommendations on how to approach several of the targets, especially target 14 of the global biodiversity framework. There is a difference between zero net habitat loss and zero loss. At the jurisdictional level, zero net and net gain is a way forward, but the zero net loss should be the main goal because biodiversity is not replaceable. Establishing 30% of habitats in conservation by 2030 will not mean economic losses. And there are several perspectives on the ecosystem services, which are unfortunately not going into real cash, but there is no, there is a little bit of gaining actually on economy, on establishing these protected areas. And then we had several questions coming from the chair, the Substat chair, about the role of trade agreements, the impact on biodiversity, and how should the discussion go if it should be biodiversity centered, or it can be more on sustainability, excuse me, and development and sustainability for all countries. So those are like the main topics we had. It was very short time. We had several open questions that we will be discussing on the chat in the next 3 days. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lily and Professor Fukushi, for presenting us those relevant conclusions. This first session has presented us an overview about the current situation and how much we have to do in order to change negative trends. Second session on Thursday, 15th of April, we will have a roundtable on biodiversity monitoring and data, chaired by GBIF and with participation from NatureServe, UNED WCMC, the Alexander von Humboldt Institute from Colombia, GeoVon, IDIF, BirdNet, and the Tropical Botanical Garden from Xishuangbanna. I will pass it over to Claudio, who has some announcements for you.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor. Just one short final announcement, as there are several questions already that may be discussed further, as indicated in the previous session of the plenary, as well as in the breakout groups. Any remaining questions that could not be addressed during this live session will be considered for further discussion on the forum website. As indicated earlier, such virtual space will remain open for 3 days after the end of this session to give an opportunity for the panelists and attendees to consider such questions and continue the discussion. A link to it has been posted in the chat tab, or will be posted very shortly in the chat tab. So please check the link, and there will be also a screensaver with the link that will be displayed. In addition, you will also receive these instructions via email at the end of the session, and therefore we kindly invite you to visit the forum website to continue the online discussion for the next 3 days, particularly the panelists who might wish to provide an answer to the question that have been posed in the Q&A. So thank you very much, Chair, for giving me the floor, and thank you very much to you co-chairs, as well as the co-chairs for the breakout group, for the very informative and useful discussions, and look forward to seeing you on Thursday for the next session. Over.
Thank you, Claudio.